In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abercast. We are the brave and bold.
The Ages begins with the shocking story of Cain and Abel and the journey of violence and revenge spanning thousands of years, following Cain through his cursed life from an ancient invasion of malicious angels to the American Revolutionary War. A masterful, compelling journey through time, The Ages delves deep into arcane knowledge, myth, and legend. The art is stunning, and the story takes you on a journey where mortals, immortals, angels, and demons are all forced to deal with the folly that is God's creation. It's a beautifully dark and gritty ride through history. This 4-part story follows the astrological procession of the ages and how each 2,500-year age parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants. Cain's blasphemous struggle with the divine and sacred tyrant God will create and crumble empires, shape history, and cause a cosmic cataclysm.
Blackest of the black, darker than night, come to me, my bleeding light. See, she comes now, enter oblivion. Yeah, here she is, harder than life, in my arms. See she there, entwined with love, unclean she is, and she comes down to me, and she offers me sleep under her black. Woe, oh, under her black wings, under her black. See, she comes on the eve of dusk, in another form. With scent of rain upon her neck, she brings the lust. Supernatural, ceasing never, on and on and on. Her stride is such, mortals freeze. When she walks past, and she comes down to me, and she offers me sleep under her black wings. Woe, under her black wings. See, she comes blacker than pitch, have to make this fallen bitch all I want, all I crave, demoness call. The bitches come. For those who wait, cross the breach in hell. See, she is bedeviled with breasts, enchantment on legs, and she comes down to me, yeah, and she offers me sleep under her black wings. Glenn Danzig, Lucifuge. Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Under her black wings, whoa. See, she comes on the edge of dusk in another form.
The Abercast. Occult. History. Conspiracy. Violence.
we're just going to do a nice, quick, short little episode here as a Christmas special. You can hear this sarcasm in my... Welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm honored that you guys choose the show to listen to while you're working out, or you're at work, or you're commuting, or whatever. I'm just happy that you guys will let me babble passionately at you about weird topics. So, I do want to say thanks a lot, and I appreciate all of you guys. With that being said, don't forget to support the show, or as I like to say, help me spread the disease. You know what I'm talking about. Rate and review the show on iTunes. I haven't had an iTunes rate and review for like ever, so come on, help me out. It's Christmas. Send me a Christmas present, everybody. Pick up a few books. That's the best way to support the show, because it helps me justify the time I take to research and record and to upload when I should be writing and doodling and drawing and lettering and coloring and just about everything. And it also helps me pay for shit, right? So that's the best way. I don't want to forget that I have a call out to musicians. I'm looking for some indie bands to help me end the show, the decompression section of the show. I thought that me doing the rap a few episodes would have done it, but fuck, man, I'm still waiting. So I got another doozy for you today at the end. So yeah, you can send an email to towers113@gmail.com. You could find all that stuff, and if you're looking for books, you can just go to stigmatastudios.com, and there's links to the Amazon pages for the graphic novels and the Indie Planet pages for the other stuff, and I think there's even some free webcomics there you can download still, so go check that out. And while you're at stigmatastudios.com, you can go on the upper left, dyslexia is a mother, on the upper left hand corner, there's links to all my social media, so go ahead and track me the fuck down, give me a holler. I'd like to talk to you guys. As far as comic books are concerned, Revenge in a Saloon Called Hell is officially out. It's out. The Brass City is being finalized right now, and I should have my copies any friggin' minute, which means as soon as I get my copies, it will be available online eventually. I don't know what the time is. It never seems fast enough to me. So, like I said, also links to the social media. So before we get going here, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Super Saturnalia, a spectacular solstice, and hell, I'm kind of in a good mood tonight, so even an uncanny Kwanzaa. Remember, everybody, is that time of year, so you want to keep the Saturn in Saturnalia, okay? But please, in all seriousness, bros, be safe out there over these holidays. You know, these holidays is like amateur hour with these drinkers, especially as you get towards the New Year's, and the cops are out there and they are looking for us, so have a plan. That's what Sun Tzu would say. Have a plan. Download a Lyft or a Uber app on your phone, Google a taxi, make your wife drive. That's what I fucking do. But whatever you do, don't get behind the wheel if you're not good, because like I said, they are looking for you. And this might be the year they'll fucking catch your ass. And when you, I mean, if you're lucky, you'll make it home. You know, if you're unlucky, the cops will catch you. But in the worst fucking case scenario, you're going to kill somebody yourself or cause a whole bunch of damage, and it's just bad. So remember, even if it's not just for your sake, you know, like I said, it's amateur hour. All kinds of the fucking Three Stooges are all over the roads this time of year. So I'm just trying to make sure you guys are great to listen to next week's episode. So, for real though, be careful out there, but have a safe and fun holiday season. And remember, nothing much good happens after 3 a.m. Some people say it's midnight. I stretch it a little bit and say 3 a.m. But the good rule of thumb, is if Taco Bell is closed, just get your fucking ass home. Just get home. But for tonight, I want you guys to mix up your gin jihad. You can, if you hold it the right way, you could see the Christmas lights twinkling in the mason jar. The smell of cinnamon and nutmeg might still be in the air. Gift wrapping still litters of the floor. You look around. One of these things might be on an ugly sweater one of your relatives is wearing. It could be on top of your tree. It could be on a seasonal themed coffee mug. Beautiful, confident with a horn or maybe a harp, or like holding a scroll, Ava, Maria, the messenger, the herald, the protector, God's grace. Tonight, my friends, we are going to be talking about the terrifying angels of Genesis. All right, yeah, I kind of failed. If you listen to the UN secret war against Israel or whatever I wound up naming it, posted last night, I was like, I'm much ballyhooed the fact that I was going to be doing 2 episodes last night. But once I finally did all the conversions and stuff to that episode and got it uploaded, I will just say that I was too far into my mason jars. And I got like halfway through this episode and it was dog shit, bro. So this is take 2 for me with this one. But if you just hang with me, I guarantee we're going to get through it, and it's going to be posted up on time, as you already know, because you're listening to this in the future. So I got just a few notes about the show. I got my plan here, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to try real hard to stay on track and to not veer too wildly off. But I have to warn you, this topic is one of my things. I started researching in angels and angelology in earnest, probably 96, 97. I was one of the guys that was talking about Genesis 6 before it was cool to talk about Genesis 6. You know what I'm saying? So I have a carefully constructed plan here to talk about this episode. This episode is in no way comprehensive. It's probably not even going to be like a 101 level sort of thing. But we're probably going to be touching on some ideas and stories that are going to wind up becoming their own whole shows eventually someday. Another thing to mention is that there's so many sources, so many views, so many versions. This episode is more a matter of perspective than it is context. Usually I try to get as much background information as I can to talk about a story, because I feel like you can understand stuff. Stuff seems to be less anomalous when you understand more about the history of it. That's why I'm always like context. But like I said, in this specific case, there are so many sources and views and versions and retellings of stuff over and over again in different ways, oral traditions, etc. Differences between the not even just the different religions, but the different factions within each religion. And then you throw in, all this since the 70s, this new age angelphilia, not literally angelphilia. We're going to get into that later. But angel fanaticism brought on, by worshiping crystals or meditating with the angels from Mars or Atlanteans or whatever. So, like I said, it's a matter of perspective. And when I go on one side or the other, I'm generally going to be talking about the versions or whatever that I have accepted to write into my books. So, I mean, I didn't invent any of them. I just chose, this is the way it's going to be for this specific track is the way it's going to be for my books, or, whatever. So, I've kind of, as you could probably tell, I've kind of been, waiting and also dreading getting into this topic because it's so, confusing. And, if, someone's, a hardcore Kabbalist, when I veer away from the Kabbalistic side of things and mosh pit into the Old Testament side of it, or even in the rare opportunity that I go into the New Testament side of angelology or whatever, I don't necessarily want the people who know the Kabbalistic parts of it to be no, that's it, there's only 10 archangels, or there's only 7 archangels, or another big one is who's an archangel and who isn't. The Bible actually is pretty scarce when it comes to information about this sort of topics. I think Michael was only called an archangel once in the whole Bible. Maybe Michael and Gabriel were mentioned as archangels, but it's more of a matter of rank thing than a whole other order of an intelligence being. Anyhow, I'm already getting ahead of myself and stumbling all over everything. So, but yeah. So was kind of dreading and waiting and dreading to get into this, but it's a good look at an austere sort of typical character from the Christmas story that's now totally compromised and corrupted, represented mascot of a commercial holiday known as Christmas. So check it out. Let's get into this. Also, this episode will connect with other episodes that we've done. This is probably not even all of them. This is just the ones I can kind of think of. It's episode 37, which is the Book of Job episode. 63, which is the Giant of Kandahar. And episode 70, which is Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. And, of course, episode 71, World War Z, and Adam's Magic Underpants. So if you like this topic and you're trying to figure out how it connects with other topics that we've talked about, there you go. I should probably make some kind of map or Venn diagram at some point in time, because as the show just keeps going and going, this is going to get real difficult to keep track of. But enough talk. Let's blow our trumpets. Let's draw our fiery swords, and let's take to the night sky, my host. Tonight we are talking about the terrifying angels of Genesis. All right, so we have to sort of assume that God created the angels. Nowhere in the Bible does it detail him creating them or how he created them, but there is evidence of God seemingly accidentally creating unintended stuff before. In the Job episode, in the book of Job, God recounts this battle with Leviathan, this gigantic Godzilla-like fish creature, and it didn't seem like he made this thing on purpose. I mean, why would he make this thing? Why would he make this thing to beat up? If he talks about how hard it was to beat him up, to test himself, if he is God and he can't do anything, then why would he test himself? Because he could do anything. So we're going to talk ourselves into a circle. So, I guess there is an option that he accidentally created angels. I don't know. So this whole thing sticks to my personal take on God, at least the God of the Old Testament, who's totally incompetent, always fucking everything up, and/or is a complete lunatic, or maybe a mixture of both of them. Crazy lunatic fuck up God. So this is why I say we must assume that God created angels. I do assume this, by the way. Sometime before he started making mud pies in the Garden of Eden, he must have made these angels. So what is an angel anyway? Technically, this is also mysterious. An angel is from the Hebrew word malak, which means messenger, or as the Encyclopedia of Occultism states, it has like a 3-page thing. There's no way I'm reading all this stuff, but at the very beginning it says the word angel, angelos, in Greek, malak in Hebrew, literally signifies a person sent or a messenger. It is a name not of nature, but of office. It is applied also to men in the world as ambassadors or representatives. In a lower sense, angel denotes a spiritual being employed in occasional offices. And lastly, men in office as priests or bishops. The angel of the congregation among the Jews was the chief of the synagogue. Such is the scriptural usage of the term, which is the common parlance, is now limited to its principal meaning and denotes only an inhabitant of heaven. Like I said, that thing is gigantic. That entry is gigantic. So it's translated into angelos in Greek, and Latin it turns into angelos. So it seems that their primary function is that of a messenger. But if they predate humans, who are they supposed to be messaging to? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure I buy this, that the primary function of an angel is a messenger. Consider that men didn't even show up until verse 27. Verse 27 of chapter 1. Of course, that's what... Sorry, I had a brain problem. Also, angels had to be on the scene by then. If you buy the whole Satan, rebel angel, fallen angel story, if Satan is the snake in the Garden of Eden, which he is definitely not the snake in the Garden of Eden story, but if you think that he is, then the angels would have already had to have been around. Satan would have already had to rebel, and he would have already been turned into a snake. Well, whatever. More so because when Adam and Eve gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, God puts a cherubim there to guard against man's re-entering the garden. So later in the scripture, it says the creation of the angels takes place before the creation in of the world, I guess. In Galatians 1:16, it says, "For hold on." Galatians 1:16, it says, "For by him all things created visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities, all things were created by him and for him." I know you're sitting there going, I thought we were talking about angels. What's principalities, thorns, and dominions? So, briefly, what the fuck I'm talking about is in the 4th or 5th century, this guy named Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite and Thomas Aquinas scoured the scriptures trying to figure out this whole magic angel situation. So the Jews have one way, the Muslims have another way, the Kabbalists have one other way. We're gonna look at it. So the way kind of that I agree with, or whatever, probably the easiest way to explain it, the easiest way, is that there's 9 orders of angels, and they are organized into 3 spheres. So each sphere has 3 orders of angels, and they're organized between the ones that are closest to God to the ones that are farthest away from God. So sphere 1 is closer to God, therefore these angels are, more higher ranking, I should say. And, let's not forget, all right, so sphere 1. So sphere 1 has 3 types of angels. They have a seraphim, a cherubim, and a throne. So, we look at, Christmas angels or whatever has come from angel art, from like the Middle Ages on. We see like muscular, sometimes effeminate looking men, with wings and halos and robes, and they're beautiful looking. You could say, I guess they're courageous, kind of heroic, kind of perfect beings or whatever. So let me just talk about this for a second. Seraphims. Seraphim have 6 wings. They're called the burning ones. They exist. Now listen to this. If I kind of got your cockles up earlier when I called God a lunatic, I forgot to mention he was also a narcissist. Like a whole order of angels exist only to worship him. They're these burning ones. They just circle the throne of God for an eternity, singing holy, holy, holy about God. Anyhow, the 6 wings, burning ones, they're pretty crazy looking. Cherubims, they have 4 heads or 4 faces, one of a man, one of an ox, one of a lion, and one of an eagle. They also have 6 wings, and they also exist only to worship God. Thrones are representing justice, or the kinghood. They are named thrones, and they are these guys are not effeminate looking dudes with wings. These guys they're 2 golden wheels within wheels, and they spin, and the wheels are covered with blazing eyes. Sphere 2, the dominions, they regulate the movement of the stars and such. Virtues are workers of miracles. Powers, also called authorities, protect mankind. So that's nice. Sphere 3, this sphere is the sphere that's farthest away from God. They're the principalities. They deal with the welfare of nations. And then there's archangels and angels who guide and are messengers to human beings. So back to figuring out this first war in heaven thing. Some say that between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2 is the creation and fall, the first war in heaven, and then we just go ahead and move on to the rest of creation. But if you want to go with the devil falling from pride and not from not bowing to Adam, when God gets all the angels together and he goes, look at this fucking thing I made, isn't it so cool? Well, so the story is Lucifer is well, they're all bowing to this man, but we were told not to bow to anybody except for God, so I can't bow to the man. So he was caught in a catch-22. God made this one too smart. He was too loyal or too smart or something. I don't know. But then it has to be after chapter 1:27, because that's when man's first on the scene. The first time God made man and woman was 1:27. Chapter 1, verse 27. And then God didn't make Adam and Eve. Well, he didn't make Adam until Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And he didn't make Eve all the way until chapter 2, verse 21. So in chapter 1:27, he's making men. It says, let's make men and women in our own image. So he's okay, let's do that. And then in chapter 2, he's yeah, okay, so now he went down and he made Adam out of clay. He made Adam out of clay, and then a few verses later, he puts him to sleep, takes his rib, and makes Eve. So, the whole thing's a confusing fucking mess. It's a confusing mess. So figuring out this whole angel revolution thing is weird, and it never really talks about it in the Bible. It's this huge, wildly important, epic part of the story that's just missing. 2 Peter 2:4 says, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until judgment," which actually I think is more of a reference to Genesis 6 than he's talking about Lucifer's revolt or rebellion or whatever. It sounds like he's talking about the Watchers or the Gregory being divinely bound under Mount Hermon for the taking of human women. It's all about the Earth chicks. Remember that. It's all about the Earth bitches. As detailed in the Book of Enoch. So we're stuck with this wild rambling of John, who was exiled to Patmos. Revelations 12:3. He says, we know this from the Revelation sign episode, which is number 53. So 12:3 through 14. Revelations 12. We're going to do 12. What are we going to do? 3 through 9. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child at the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne, and the woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, when she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Then the war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Okay. Not to belabor this point, but also we have the angels with God, the fallen angels who are not demons that are buried under Mount Hermon, except Sam Menzies. He's in orbit somewhere, suspended upside down, geosynchronous orbit, upside down. And a third of the angels who are demons with Satan. So also another thing that we can take is like the number of angels are set. I mean, if you can divide something into 3s, then it's not like God's making more angels, because that statement would be crazy. Would not be correctly stated then. Well, we're going to wind up doing in-depth episodes, probably about all of this mess at some point in time, I promise. But the whole point I wanted to make is that besides messengers, we also see that they are also guards, warriors, rapists, etc. So let's get back to our angels. I'm going to take the opportunity to get a break here, because I need to lube up. First mention of an angel in the Bible is Genesis 3:24, and he drove out the man. And at the east of the Garden of Eden, he placed the cherubim and his sword, flaming and turning, to guard the way to the tree of life. So commonly, we'll see. Probably more realistically, instead of horns and harps, we'll see this sword of expulsion being associated with angels. This cherubim, in the Kabbalistic tradition, this is the archangel Uriel. It's funny. The Kabbalists, they're like, yeah, it could be a cherubim and an archangel. Like, at some point, they delineate them into ranks instead of just a type of angel. Anyhow, like I said, I'm not going to get into all this. But, yeah. So it's the archangel Uriel, who is the fire of God. This is, I talk about this in my graphic novel The Heart of Abracax, and also the graphic novel The Ages, we actually see some of this stuff happening when Cain goes back to the Garden of Eden, and Uriel is there guarding it. So it's not a sweet or gentle messenger here. We have an angel armed with a fiery sword. I think we get that message, bro. Next up, before we get to the famous Genesis 6, we're going to stop here and talk about Genesis 5:20 to 24. Thus all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years, and he had another son and daughter. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was no more, because God took him. So, I mean, the reason I bring this up, even though they're not talking about an angel here, but the reason we bring this up is because this dude got translated into heaven. There's the book of Enoch, which is a big major part of the Apocrypha, which is like scriptural texts that weren't included in the Bible per the Council of Nicaea. So, but you can find it. It's everywhere. It's fascinating. It's like this guy gets taken up into a UFO and has outer space UFO adventures with angels. And then the Kabbalists, the Hebrews and the Kabbalists, they, in their lore or in their system, Enoch actually gets taken to heaven and he gets turned into a super angel, the most powerful angel in the universe, named Metatron. And I write about this. Also, Metatron is in the Abracast, and also his origin story and kind of his exit story is written in the graphic novel The Jinn Jihad. So, you know, Metatron is not a cutie pie. Like, Metatron is not like a cutie pie angel. He's the, in some Hebrew stories, he's, 65 foot tall, and he's got blazing eyes and all this stuff. I have my actual, character design of Metatron is probably one of my favorites. So, again, I'm going to take sorry, I gotta just take another quick break here, and then we're gonna get into the famous Genesis 6. I've been teasing it this whole time. We're gonna get into it right after this. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. And the Nephilim were on earth in those days, and also forward. When the sons of God went into the daughters of humans, they bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. The Lord saw that the wickedness of humankind was great in the earth, and that every inclination of their thoughts, of their hearts, was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made humankind on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out from the earth the human beings I have created, people together with animals and creeping things and birds in the air, for I am sorry I have made them. So whatever these asshole angels did, it fucked up the whole planet. Bye, Felicia. Like, I mean, listen to this condemnation. And the Lord saw the wickedness of humankind was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts were only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made humankind on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So listen to this last thing. This is Genesis 6:7. So the Lord said, I will blot out from the earth human beings I have created. Why? Why would you do that? And he goes on to say, people together with animals and creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry I have made them. So, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about what the fuck this means. And like all these ancient alien guys are like, it's cloning. They were making hybrids and bird people. Whatever. I don't know. But whatever it was, this is another one of those huge, epic stories that are clearly just missing from the Bible. You know, like I said, the book of Enoch gets into some of this, and like I said, we'll get into the whole book of Enoch, and we'll talk all about this and stuff. But so. And also in the book of Enoch, he shares the fate of these horny, crazy angels and their horrific, gigantic offspring. You know, he floods the earth to kill the Nephilim, or these offspring. You know, and everybody, but he takes these angels who were the Watcher angels or the Grigori, and he binds them under Mount Hermon. Except for their leader, I think I already mentioned, he gets suspended in orbit upside down, neither in the heavens or the earth. And this is talked about. I do a great. Not that I'm tooting my own horn, but I do great story stuff in the ages with this, and also in the Jin Jihad. In my version, they get bound and castrated, and it's kind of like after that, like God goes up to heaven, he's like, all right, everybody, give me your dicks, like unscrew them, take them off, give them to me, like I'm confiscating, I'm putting this on the contraband list. The angels can't have dicks anymore, everybody. So you know, the end of this episode is the deluge of Noah. Noah is cool. Because, you know, he says, like, all this crazy all the angels and humankind were evil, and they were doing all this weird stuff with birds and animals and things that crawl. Except for Noah. He says, Noah, he's cool. This guy is pure in his generations, which sounds like it's a genetic thing to me, I guess. But, you know, but as we know, going forward, that all of the giants didn't die. The land of Canaan has giants in them, and then God's got to use the Jews. I'm sorry about that. God's got to use the Jews to like hunt down and kill all these giants that the flood didn't kill. Like I said before, remember, God fucks everything up. He doesn't do anything right. He doesn't do anything perfect. Like everyone is like, oh, God's perfect. So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, not to turn this whole thing into a commercial, into a further commercial for my books, but the Jin Jihad and the Ages really does an awesome job of covering these two, or this part of the story. We get to, I mean, all right. So skipping ahead a little bit to chapter 19. Hold on. Oh, by the way, do these angels sound like great Christmas angels? Do they sound like they're just wearing robes and they're strumming harps and floating around in the sky, maybe singing Holy, 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 or delivering Ave Maria messages? No, these dudes have like raging hard-ons, and they just look down at these daughters of men, and they were just like, oh man, I'ma fuck that. It's like it's like they're wandering home the next day covered in glitter. They just got a couple crinkled up ones in their pocket, and they're like, man, what the fuck happened? Next thing you know, they're handcuffed and thrown under a mountain range. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit to chapter 19, where two angels, this is like a spaghetti western to me, like two angels go into the city of the plains. We know Sodom and Gomorrah from episode 71, which was the World War Z episode and Adam's Magic Underpants. So this is after that. This is after World War Z. Lot moved back in with his family, and they moved back into Sodom and Gomorrah, and he sees these angels, and he was like, "Oh snap, son! Those are angels. I gotta fucking take care of them." And this leads to the death of two cities, a shocking amount of loss of life, blindness. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into reading. This is a big one, though. Okay, so I gotta prep. Give me 2 cc's of Jin Jihad stat. That was more than 2. All right, so this is Genesis 19:1 to 19:29. If I would do the whole thing. The two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed down with his face to the ground. He said, "Please, my lords, turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night, and wash your feet, and you could rise up early and go your way. Go your own way. Go your own way." They said, "No, we shall spend the night in the square." But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house, and he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded Lot's house. And they called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out here so that we may know them." And so the way that people take this is that when they say we may know them, they're talking about know them in a biblical sense. Know their nook and cranny, if you know what I'm saying. Lot went out the door of the men, and he shut the door after him, and he said, "Look, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly." Look at Lot. Lot's got some big old balls. He's trying to save these angels' beeholes so hard. He says, "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly." Look, Lot says, "Look, I got 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you. You can do with them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof." But apparently the mob of rapists yelled, "Stand back!" And they said, "This fellow came here as an alien, and he would play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard. Oh my God, look at this language. Okay, I'm going to go back. They replied, "Stand back." And they said, "This fellow came here as an alien, but he would play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near the door to break it down. But the men inside reached out their hands and brought Lot back into the house with them, and they shut the door. And the angels struck blindness into the men who were at the door of the house, both small and great, so that they were unable to find the door. So look at just listen to the craziness of this story. These two angels wander into town. Lot's like, yo, why don't we hang out in my house so no one sees you? And then you could go your way. And they're like, no, we're going to go sleep in the square. And he's like, come on, bros. Come on. Take a night off. So they go in. Lot's cooking them food. They're chit-chatting. They're having a good old time. At one point in time, he says he's going to wash their feet or something. And all of a sudden, a mad mob of rapists surround Lot's house, and they're like, send these fucking guys out here because we're gonna nail them. We're gonna nail them all in the ass. And Lot's like, no, listen to how crazy this is. Lot's like, no, you can't nail these guys in the ass. Like, I'll send my daughters out. You can do whatever you want with them, but these guys are the safety of my house. And so these guys rush the door, and the angels save Lot. And when they save Lot, they reach out their hand and strike a whole mob full of crazy rapists blind. This is an amazing story. But that's not even all that happens to these guys. Okay, so he strikes them blind so they can't find the door. These men say to Lot, have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-laws, who were to marry his daughters, up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy this city. But he seemed to his son-in-laws to be jesting. When morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, and saying, get up, take your wife, your two daughters who are here, or else you will be consumed in the punishment of this city. And but he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his two daughters by the hand, and the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and left him outside of the city. When they brought him outside, they said, flee for your life and do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills or you will be consumed. And Lot said to them, oh, no, my lords, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot flee to the hills for fear the disaster will overtake me and I die. Look, that city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? My life will be saved. He said to him, very well, I grant you this favor too, and will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I could do nothing until you arrive there. Therefore the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham, who, as you guys will remember, was Lot's, nephew or brother, depends on which line you read in the World War Z story in the book of Jasher. Okay, so anyhow, no, I'm not bitter. Abraham, who was Lot's uncle, went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards all the land of the plains, and saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the city of the plains, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, and then he overthrew the cities in which Lot had settled. So, I mean, this is this is a wild story. This is one of my favorite. I once did a standalone, just straight up version of that story, and I actually submitted it to Heavy Metal. Like it was like right after I got out of art school. I don't have my rejection letter still, but I carried it around with me for a long time. I thought my story was great. I would do it way different now. Maybe I will do this. just because it's such a wild fucking story. It just thrills me. That they're like, no. In my version, they do double guns. You know, they point like with their hands like they're guns at the wild mob of rapists, and they're like, click, 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 bang, bang, like it ain't no thing, and bam, bam, and that's when they all fucking go blind. Man, that shit is crazy. It's just crazy. So as I said, that led to the destruction of a bunch of cities, almost every life on the plane. Everyone in the cities eventually. Lot gets hammered and winds up fucking his daughters. God asks / commands Abraham to. We're moving on. So do those two angels sound like the angels from your little Christmas decorations? Do they look like the little inflatable angels that are out on your front yard? So we're gonna move on through Genesis. We're almost done here. God asks / commands Abraham to bind and sacrifice his son Isaac. But just in the candid camera minute, like when God is like, all right, go down there and stop this. This is ridiculous. He sends an angel. So interestingly, God addresses Abraham directly, and he goes, look, this is what you're going to fucking do. You're going to take this kid of yours that we gave you. You're going to take this kid. You're going to bind him. You're going to walk him up to this fucking hill, and you're going to sacrifice him. So Abraham's like, okay, well, I guess that's what I'm going to do. That's what he does. And then, like, right when he's about to kill Isaac, this is the thing that I say on Father's Day, by the way. This is the picture I send out, is Abraham not killing Isaac. God doesn't seem like he doesn't address Abraham. He doesn't come down and be like, yo, I was just kidding, don't kill the kid. Instead he sends this angel, and this angel's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Tex, put that fucking thing down, untie your son. I actually brought you a goat or a ram. Go fucking kill that thing. And it has to be a ram because it is in the astronomical age of Aries, so that's why they're slaughtering a ram. I just throw this shit out. I'm not explaining it. I'll be here for another fucking hour. So far, this is the coolest angel that we've seen. I mean, not like, this is the most, like, the helpful, tender, caring, encouraging, courageous angel, like the angels that we're talking about. This is the one that's the most like that. In my notes, I say it's the coolest one, but by far, the Sodom and Gomorrah angels are the fucking coolest. Just boom, boom, bang, bang, and then they're like, "Yo, get out of here, because we're gonna fucking spread these cities like jelly." Yeah, okay. So we're going to skip. I think this is the last story. Jacob, on his way back to his bro's house, he's going back home to see Esau, and in the middle of the night, this is Genesis 32:24 through 32:30. So he's, like I said, he's on his way. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. And when the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket. And Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. And then he said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And Jacob said, "Jacob." And the man said, "You will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans, and you have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And then he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved." So this is also one of my favorite stories. I haven't worked this into a comic yet, but I did do artwork with this story actually back in art school. I got art schools in my brain, I guess, tonight. But like, how fucking heavy metal is this? Like, this guy, Jacob's just sleeping, and this guy just fucking like starts wrestling him, and is like, put him in a Boston crab, and like popped his fucking leg out. And Jacob's like, I'm not tapping out. I'm fucking not tapping out. And he fucking gets the guy in, like, I don't know, like a rear naked choke or something. And he like fucking DDTs this angel. This is some heavy metal fucking shit. And obviously, when you look into it, you look into this story as like from a psychological rather than a spiritual story. You know, this is him wrestling with his guilt of stealing Esau's birthright. You know, he's returning to him. You know, and he's basically he's wrestling with the guilt of this birthright situation, which we talked a lot about in which one was it? Fuck. I think it was the World War Z episode. We talked about this weird soap operatic plot, M. Night Shyamalan like plot twists that keeps happening to these patriarchs, where the younger son keeps getting, by hook or by crook or by an act of rebellion from, you know, the patriarch, like the younger son keeps getting this this blessing. So really, like, that's all that I really think is going on here. Is it's just a poetic way of, you know, of Jacob wrestling with. But I mean, it gets into like this weird spiritual like fucking thing where he winds up getting blessed by him, and he, like, Jacob winds up becoming like the super Jew, the super Hebrew or whatever of the time. And in my brain, you know, I just love the idea of this fucking just night-long wrestling match with an angel. So it's like, this is something I've always wanted to also write in to a book. Maybe I'll get off my ass and do something with these stories, because I, you know, I'm not getting any younger, that's for sure. Anyhow, it's heavy fucking Jacob being blessed and getting turned into Israel and wrestling this angel all night long with the fucking popped out hip and everything. That shit is great. Heavy metal, that shit's great. Heavy metal. I wonder if anyone colored. I wonder what their gimmicks were. It'd be great if Jacob like fainted out and rolled out of the ring and produced a steel folding chair. Barbed wire baseball bat. All right, so here we're going to pump the brakes here. Like I said, this is a big topic. But I think we got through Genesis pretty good. All the terrifying angels of Genesis, I think we got through it pretty good. You know, I think it's a great opportunity just to take, you know, decorate this, the angel and the story of the birth of the little baby Jesus is an innocuous enough kind of figure. Is, you know, it shows up and says, hey man, you're gonna be born, you're gonna be giving birth to the Messiah, little baby Messiah. You know, it's like announcing this miracle, you know, and we see these angels around all the time, but when I see these angel decorations and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's not a cute angel. Like, that is an angel that'll strike you blind and burn your whole fucking town down with sulfur and shit from outer space. With meteorites and sulfur and shit from outer space. So I just kind of want to give my perspective to you on this Christmas episode of the Abracast. So before oh shit, I'm late on these. Hold on. All right, so thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining me while I babble passionately about angels. Is weird, but like I said, this is one of my things, and I've been kind of looking forward to and kind of dreading this episode and probably the 100 that are going to follow with the same topic down the line. So, like I said, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the show. Please rate and review on iTunes. Please spread the disease if you have someone that are like, when you die, if you're good, you become an angel. Now you can sit them down and be like, look, bro, that's not the way it works. You actually become a raging hard-on angel rapist when you're an angel. Great opportunity to pick some books up. Go to stigmatastudios.com to go shopping for books. Also to hit me up on my social media. I hope you guys like this episode, because literally there are gonna be hundreds of episodes like this through the years to come.
Vienna, 1683. Today is September 11th, 1683. The mighty army of the Ottoman Empire, led by the savage and radical terror troops of the Dar al-Harb, surround the walled city of Vienna and begin a siege to break the golden apple of Europe and kill, enslave, or convert all of its inhabitants. The valiant citizens stand against the tyrannical army with the steadfast leadership of Count Ernst Rudiger von Stromberg, the help of the ever-living rebel Cyrus the Dead Guy, and the hopes of the faraway King Jan Sobieski III and his army of flying hussars. The Vienna 1683 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us. The Non-Standard Squad, 1944. World War II. 3 weird American soldiers are on a search and rescue mission into the oldest and darkest regions of Europe. A cursed, ever-living warrior, Cyrus the Dead Guy. An experimental warbot, Sergeant Lane McCord. An all-red axe, mysterious rogue with a demon-possessed arm, come face to face with an army of magically corrupted, machine-obsessed elves, a magic hammer-wielding Norse Ubermensch, and a Nazi wizard who is a member of the ancient Dark Order of the Shining Hexagon. The Non-Standard Squad 1944 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us.
So I also want to encourage people to call out to musicians. We're looking for folks to do my decompression section of the episode, which is coming up right away. It's just whatever genre you play, whatever milieu you play. I'm open. I'm open for it. I'm open to do it. So send it my way. I got some real shitty shit for you coming up after this. So also want to encourage everybody to write something, draw something, record something. That's pretty easy. Thing. I don't know if anyone else does that. Write something, draw something, record something. I gotta come up with something better. Just do something creative in your life. It's like, God, I mean, that's all that I do, and I can't do enough of it. So also want to remind everyone to have a fun and safe holiday season. Remember, plan for a ride. The fucking cops are looking for you. They're looking for us, bros. Those fucking cops, they're looking for us. They're here to generate some revenue for their shitty fucking whatever. So we don't want to give them the pleasure. So make your wife drive. That's what I do. Get an Uber, get a Lyft, fucking call a taxi cab if they still have those nowadays. I don't know. Or just fucking sleep in someone's front yard. I mean, make sure you have a sleeping bag or something, because especially if you're in an area of the country where it gets cold. Of course, you obviously know all this. I'm just saying, bros. But what do I know? I'm just a writer with the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week. And fun, safe, very safe holiday. I expect you all to click back next week to hear me babbling passionately about the next fucking thing. Stay tuned for the decompression section. fucking throw up. Fucking throw up.